I'm with Issim from the Center for the Cultural Heritage here in Bethlehem. Now, Issim, when was the Cultural Heritage Center started?
The Cultural Heritage Preservation, the Center for Cultural Heritage Preservation came as a result of Bethlehem 2000, and it was first established in year 2001, so almost 8 years from now. The center has the mission of protecting the cultural heritage in Bethlehem district and to raise awareness about the importance of this heritage for public.
Now you have offices here in Bethlehem, in the traditional part, in the old city of Bethlehem. How old is the office?
The office is more than 100 years old. The office is one of the buildings which Bethlehem 2000 have restored to be reused as our locale. This building is the building for the first mayor of Bethlehem, Mr. Hanna Mansour. He was the first mayor in, I think it was in 1910 till 1918.
How old is the city of Bethlehem?
The city of Bethlehem is more than 3,000 years old, and it's a Canaanite village. It was a Canaanite village. It stays as a small village and small settlement until the time of until the event of birth took place in this village 2,000 years ago, where there was more interest of this village because of this event. We know that the first who have contributed to flourish this city were the Byzantines. Mother Helena came here and built the Nativity of Church, and later there was, and during this period there was, this city extended and took more international fame, which helped this city to develop. Also during the Crusader period, another flourishing period came for Bethlehem. The city has experienced lots of periods where it has flourished, and other periods where there was the demolishing for major parts of the city. In some period, almost three walls were constructed around the city and they were demolished. Now there is no evidence for any old existing walls. The event of the birth of Jesus Christ in this city have given her international fame, which have made it famous worldwide and being visited by more than 2 million pilgrimage yearly nowadays. The city have very beautiful old town, which illustrates types of the Ottoman period traditional building. Also, it has beautiful landscape, especially cultural cultural landscape terraces, where they illustrate a way of living for the Palestinian farmer through the vineyard and the olive tree terraces. And we in the center are trying to preserve this kind of heritage, to preserve our identity as Palestinian and as people that used to live in this city.
Can you actually see the old city of Bethlehem today?
The old city of Bethlehem are being subject to a movement of change because of the war sieging Bethlehem. A lot of people came back on the limited available land. People are coming back to live in the old city, which used to be abandoned for 20 years. This is a positive sign. The negative impact of this, that people with their poor means are trying to rehabilitate the old buildings in their ways and to change the values of these traditional houses. Another point which the old city was affected by is the Israeli invasion. We all remember the invasion of the year 2002, where they have seized the Nativity Church and several parts of the old core was demolished. And since the year 2006, the CCHP, Center for Cultural Preservation, have started the project of preparing a management plan and conservation plan for the old town of Bethlehem in cooperation with UNESCO and in cooperation with the 3 municipalities of Bethlehem, Bet Jara, Bet Sahur, because this plan involves the three old towns, or includes the 3 old towns of Bet Jara, Bethlehem, Bet Sahur, because we are dealing with it as one unit since they are close to each other. The project aimed to regulate or to set regulation able to protect the old core and to set plans for the development of this area to be more attractive for tourists and to spread the benefits for local people, especially those who are working on the tourism sector. Also, we have plans to inscribe Bethlehem on the World Heritage List, even though that we are still not having the status of state party for the World Heritage Committee. The committee in its 26th meeting in year 2002 have supported the right of having the World Heritage Palestinian sites inscribed on the World Heritage List. Since then, a team of young experts have been trained to prepare the nomination file for inscribing these sites. Later, a potential tentative list for Palestinian outstanding universal value sites have been prepared and submitted to the World Heritage Committee. And now the World Heritage Committee is supporting our efforts to prepare the first nomination file, which will be for the most important sites after Jerusalem, which is Bethlehem. And we are aiming that this nomination file will be recognized by the World Heritage Committee to be inscribed on the World Heritage List.
Is it easy preserving the city?
Preserving the city is not easy at all. Actually, our center has been working for more than 8 years in different fields in order to combine efforts for the preservation of the city. We are facing two kinds of difficulties. First, the financial resources. The financial resources are important in order to prepare or to implement rehabilitation projects. We are able to get resources to implement. We have been able to restore 5 to 10 or less five historic buildings in the old core of Bethlehem, another 5 the surrounding areas. Of course, this is not enough because we do have a lot of abandoned buildings in the old core, and we will be able to cover all this or to restore all these old buildings. We are also trying to involve the municipalities and other governmental institutions to adopt the same approach of our center for restoring these buildings, but always the financial resources is a problem. This conservation and management plan for Bethlehem should work as a tool to attract more, not only donors to restore buildings, but also investors who should believe about the high potential this building have to be used in the development process. This is the first difficulty. The second difficulty is the issue of raising awareness. Several buildings are being demolished by Palestinians who are willing to construct new buildings, or others are being affected by the negative way of construction the Palestinians are doing. For example, they are using, they want to extend to have a new room or to add a new room to the roof. They are using concrete blocks. They are using zingo or other material which have a negative impact on the aesthetic value of the building. We are trying to raise awareness among people through the different awareness program we have. Mrs. May, the head of the unit of the raising awareness, and is working on the programs with three sectors, which are the children's, which are our hope for the future, and the women, which are important, or women of Bethlehem, which are important sector of society, and also with decision makers. Nowadays, we have, until today, we have achieved considerable change in the attitude of people towards these historic towns. This attitude can be realized by decrease of number of destroyed building or demolished building by people. However, there are still efforts to be done in order to achieve more change in that.
Now, when you restore an old building, do you restore it to the old style and the old ways? Like, for instance, in England, they used to put horse's hair in the plaster. Would you do that here as well?
Actually, we are adapting the traditional method of construction, which are based on local material, and as you have mentioned, you use in England the hair of horse, but here we use the hair of sheep. Yeah. So in the plastering. There there are some flexible methods. I mean, the major methods are the same. However, there are some flexibility in the moisture or in the mixture, the material used for the mixture. We are trying to adapt the same as it was used in the past. Also for the construction, we are trying to avoid using the concrete. We are counting more on the stones as the structural material, the same as was in the past. Another reason for also adopting this traditional method is that they have another benefit, which are they usually depend on intensive labor efforts, which help us in increasing the day of or the job opportunity provided for local inhabitants to work on this project. Usually these kind of restoration projects involve more than 40% of the budget goes directly to labor, to hiring labor. And this is how also we are being able to market our project for the international funding agency as being a job creation project.
Now, what was life like here in Bethlehem 100 years ago?
It seems that it was less complicated than these days. And let's talk about the construction methods. Even though there was no rules to regulate the construction, but it was done through negotiation between neighbors, between, let's say, al-makhatir, who were people responsible about each quarter. Each quarter have its own mukhtar, we call it. And he was the person who decide or who gather people in order to decide how each one will construct his buildings. They have the tradition and norms which were regulating building construction. For example, if I have a neighbor who would like to construct next to my house, then he is obliged not to open any window which overlook my courtyard because of privacy purposes. Yeah. And these regulation and norms have been working so well in the past, while nowadays we hear about a lot of conflicts because of the new construction and the neighbors who are objecting this new constructions and the land property which is not clear at all. And this is one of the major problems in Bethlehem because there have never been a settlement for the land properties.
So people don't actually know exactly what their boundaries are?
In some lands, not exactly the boundaries. It's more about the property. For example, people in the past used to inscribe their properties in the name of the church. This, for example, these lands have went to the church. Other lands, for example, is being owned by grandfather of the family. So what happens that their descendants or their children or their sons have now is being increased because it's new generation coming, and then instead of having one owner for the property, now you may have 20 owners or 30 owners, and so that each one have small part of this property, and who sell the land, he's selling small parts, and he's defining the big land, and this is creating a conflict of or unclear ownership property.
Does a lot of the property stay within the family here?
No, not nowadays. Nowadays it's quite different because people are selling their land in order to improve their life or get more income. And for selling the land, usually people who are selling the land, they are selling the land for people who are giving a better price, but not for their family.
And what projects have you got running at the moment?
Actually, since year 2005, CCHP have started with the program Job Creation through Cultural Heritage Preservation. This program contains the rehabilitation of historic buildings and to be reused by local institutions in the area. In this program we are getting this abandoned historic building, and we are having agreements with their owners to get these buildings for the period of 10 years. In this 10 years, CCHP are free to give or to provide this building for people or for local NGOs who are working in the public, who are serving the community of Bethlehem. These programs have three main objectives. First, through this program we are preserving our cultural heritage through the preservation or rehabilitation of these historic buildings. Second, we are creating jobs in this hard situation. I have mentioned before that 40% of the budgets of restoration projects goes to intensive labor. Third, we are enhancing the role of NGOs, providing service for local communities. This project has been funded by CEDA, and through this project we have been able to restore more than 20 historic buildings. In addition, we have the BACMP, which is the Bethlehem Area Conservation and Management Plan. This project involves the preparation of conservation plan and setting regulation for the protection of the three old towns, Bethlehem, Bet Jareb, Sahur, in cooperation with the UNESCO and with the three municipalities. Through this project, we are aiming to provide better mechanism for the protection of these three towns, and also to provide mechanism for the development of these old towns.
Now you have a website for people who can look and see some of the things that you've been doing in the city. What's your website address?
Our website address is www.bethlehem2000.org/CCHP. As I have mentioned before, that we came as a shot of Bethlehem 2000. We are still the descendants of the Bethlehem 2000 project. However, we are part of different or various sectors they have. We are just a sector where we concern about cultural heritage preservation. And within 2 months from today, we will have a new address, which will be www.cchp.ps.
Okay, Issim, thank you very much.